beautiful, Seamus. Like, last week we were talking about Pat Inglesby in the crematorium, and I've come to the conclusion that I wouldn't mind going up on flames and have Seamus playing that at the same time. Seamus, what was that? That was a beautiful piece.
So that was an old air called Queena na Trí Mhuire. So it's the cry of the three Marys anyway. So it was actually it was a piece, actually an old Irish air, but it was basically a lament that was sung to kind of replicate Jesus dying on the cross and the cry of Mary basically at that moment. So I suppose it's a great air. It's been sung by lots of musical Irish Shannon singers. Liam O'Wainley has done it, and Uillean.
He's a young Shannon singer.
But
what about Shannon Shay?
But it also has great history, I suppose, down to it as well, and it's a lovely air, and there's great spirit to it too. You know?
Well, if I'd have known it was about what it was about, I wouldn't have mentioned myself at the start of it. Far be it from me to compare it to myself to anybody as high up as that. But this is your pal here, Brian, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and it's funny, Brush, you said about the cremation, because one of the places I met Seamus was at Shane McGowan's funeral.
Yeah.
And he also played the cremation the following day.
Yeah.
In Shannon, with Liam O'Malley.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the first places where we would have come in contact.
Oh.
So he's got tried and tested in this, Brush. If you want to go with that, we can organise that one for you. You know.
Well, what they call the coincidence of coincidences. That's what we're having here.
That's right.
Today.
That's right.
And as they say, religion is for people who are afraid to go to hell, and spirituality is for people who've already been there. And good. I'm only talking about myself now because I'm far be it from me. Yeah. But having said that, I thought that was so beautiful that I think it's time for me now to do and say very little as yourself and Seamus head in to wherever you're going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about Seamus, there's many interesting things about Seamus, but he's a very spiritual guy. So when we first started this program, he was one of the first people we mentioned, even in the first episode, because of that.
Yeah.
You know, so I would have met you through the Franciscans. Really was a big part of that. But I suppose interesting to start with Seamus is that he was homeschooled. This is something that's unique about Seamus in his own exploration of the different sources of information.
Yeah.
So he would have come at it from his own point of view. So I suppose you can kind of mention that kind of came from where you started from, you know.
Yeah, I suppose, let's say, so I would have, let's say, had a different upbringing from my childhood, you know, because I went to school up to the age of 8, and my sister was being bullied in school. So what ended up happening was that myself and my sister, just two of us in the family, we actually took a bit of time out of school and we started homeschooling, and it really worked for ourselves as a family. Okay. We found that it really helped us grow, as, let's say, we got to meet friends of all different ages, you know, through the various homeschool meetups, you know, but also we followed our passions and our interests, you know, whether it was the music, you know, doing different things like sport at the time, drama, you know. It was all kind of very much led by ourselves, and it also helped us be really, you know, innovative and kind of just trying out different things, you know, but just thinking outside the box. And I think that really helped us grow with whatever we were going to do. For me, it was the music, you know, and also kind of it was a great kind of, gave us a good platform as young people.
Yeah, and he was big into Tin Lizzy at the time. And when he was a very small child, he used to tell me that he'd sit in the car and say, "Mommy, isn't that a nice song?" Right?
What the boys are back in
all this stuff.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it then. No.
Maybe we could do a version of that.
Well, that could happen very easily.
Yeah.
So be careful about what you wish for. You know what they say. Like.
and they'd watch McGowan at Fairy Tale New York on Top of the Pops every Christmas and call him the funny man.
Yeah.
So he'd call the mother into the sitting room and say, "Mommy, look at my drawing," and he drew Tin Lizzy on the couch.
I was very small, and I probably about 4 or 5, and I all the music that we would have listened to would have been you know, Tin Lizzy, you know, I said at Christmas it was always Fairy Tale in New York. We were watching On Top of the Pops, you know. Also, like, you know, I grew up listening to the Eagles and, you know, Van Morrison, and lots of music like that. It was only really after that the traditional music came into the scene and came from a total different angle, you know. But
Or T.G. Carter, was it?
yeah.
He came across T.G. Carter by mistake, like most people do.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
But Seamus ended up getting a scholarship for music at some stage and buying his own pipes through busking. So he actually bought his own pipes through busking at a very young age. What age were you?
Yeah, so the pipes, obviously, I started playing the tin whistle when I was 11. A friend of mine, a friend of the family's, through homeschooling, actually said, you know, traditional music's great for meeting friends, and we said, you know what, we give it a go. So I started off with a tin whistle. My sister Mary, she also did that as well, and we, because it was cheap, only for 10 euro for a simple Walton's tin whistle. But eventually I heard the Uillean pipes, and I said, you know what, I'd love to learn the pipes, you know. But of course the pipes are much more of a bigger investment. But at the start, when I got lessons, I went to the Pipers Club, and they had a pipes on loan scheme there. But eventually I had to give that set back, and I was kind of thinking about that. So one of the things was to try and save up to get this set of pipes, you know. And the way I tried to save up for the set of pipes was using the set that I was renting. I busk outside the football matches, and eventually through many matches and All-Ireland finals anyway, I ended up getting this set of pipes, and I'm delighted with them anyway. It's a real joy and pleasure to be able to.
There's a beautiful tone of them, beautiful tone of them.
Yeah, they're going well. It's sometimes a bit squeaky, but you know, you try and get the tone sounded as best as you can, and just bring out a really nice sound, you know.
Well, I mean, you're on the top of your game here. Like that was beautiful. The tone of that now, that's as rich as I've heard it. You know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the no end. You know.
Yeah, and other people picked up on that as well, Brush. And one guy told him to go to the Wren's Nest, which is a famous traditional place for music, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And there was a very specific thing that happened there for you, Seamus. So this is kind of where the spirituality kind of comes into it. He came into the Franciscans originally. So I'll set you up for that then.
Yeah, so I think July 2023 obviously was a big month really in my life. I had just finished college, and I was kind of at a loose end, kind of trying to figure out what was I going to do with my life, you know. And I ended up there through a good friend of mine, Darren Kinsella. He knew that I played the pipes, and he played a small bit of mandolin. He said, you know what, you have to come down to the Wren's Nest. There's a traditional music session going on down there. So I went down to the Wren's Nest, and there was about I'd say 20 musicians playing there, and we were playing all the Kerry polka, Maggie in the Woods, all the classics. And then Darren said, Seamus, play a slow air. So I played a slow air like that there. But then who I didn't realise was in the room was also Glenn Hansard, and it was my first time ever to see Glenn Hansard, you know, in real life, you know. And through that there was a video somehow ended up getting posted on Glenn Hansard's channel, and that led to a lot of things down the line anyway as well. So
well, he got a gig with a band called Messengers, who were a Christian rock band in America. And one of the singers is Irish, but he lives in America.
Yeah, that's it. We are Messengers. Darren Mulligan is the front man of the band, and he wanted to bring out an Irish Christmas record. You know, he does pop stuff, but I ended up getting through the video that was posted up. We recorded that album last May, and that was a great thing to be part of. They're a really good band based over there, and it was very exciting, you know.
Okay, so you're almost international now at the moment.
Yeah,
he's getting there. That's a scratch on the surface, you know what I mean?
Hoping for a Christmas tour or something, you know.
At the end of it, then he was asked to like you were in the church, right, and you were asked to play a gig in the Pipers Club. So the fork in the road came. Do I follow this Glenn Hansard stuff? He was hoping for that, the international stuff, or will I take the gig in the Pipers Club? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, because I just finished college, and I had been offered, let's say, a full-time job working in the Pipers Club, and it was a great opportunity. But I would have been.
What would you be working at?
So it would be administrative work, working in the office, organising, let's say, the classes and different things like that. So it would have been a great experience, great opportunity. But I still felt I'd be kind of moving away from playing and teaching music, which was a big love for myself, you know, it'd be more the administrative kind of side of things. But I said, you know what, I'd give it a go, and they were actually the people in the Uillean, they were fantastic. They allowed me to do it part-time up to Christmas, but I did know I needed to decide whether I was going to go full-time with the job after Christmas. But I suppose I had met the Franciscans in July, and they inspired me to go to Assisi on a holiday, and I went over there, and I'd been growing a lot in my spirituality as well, you know. And what ended up happening was I was praying a lot more about it. I said, look, I'll just leave it out there, whatever it is to be is to be. But while I was thinking of it, I did get I was kind of like almost a little bit of a call that something might happen, you know, that might lead me on a different path. And just coming up to the time I needed to decide about the job, I got a phone call from Glenn Hansard asking me to play at Shane McGowan's funeral. And
Lovely.
it was a big kind of big curveball really, but I went and I played at the funeral, and since then I made a decision to go down the music and teaching of the Uillean pipe route, and it's been an amazing journey since then, really.
Isn't that lovely? Yeah.
Well, he was actually in the church, and he was praying specifically for this outcome. And it was at that point you said, you actually said the date. When you said I'm going to give myself until this date.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and on that
date, Glenn Hansard calls and says, "Do the funeral."
Yeah, so it was amazing. Whatever it's a big mystery, but
life is.
But you know, you just keep following the road and see where it leads, really. You know.
Yeah. So on Shane's cortege, Seamus was the one sat at the front of the cortege. So he was actually sitting at the front of the casket, the cortege going around Dublin. Yeah. He would have played when
he was the piper.
When I was carrying Shane in, he was at the door.
Yeah.
He did "I'm a Man You Don't Meet Every Day" with
John Francis Flynn, and Koch or Weird,
and then the cremation on top of that as well. And we said but 2 words to each other. I said, "Well done." That's all I said to him, right? And he saw me one day drinking in Temple Bar, as I would have done. You know what I mean? I was a couple of months later. I was in Temple Bar, and he comes over to me and he asked me to come into the museum. Yeah. He wanted to promote that Messenger record, and typical Seamus, he took the number down wrong. He has a habit of doing this stuff. So we missed each other, and he comes into the Rock and Roll Museum a couple of months later to meet me, and we just basically say "Well, I'll take you around. I'll help you promote the record." But I really wanted to get into the trad music as well. Brush.
Okay, yeah.
So it was me thinking, I want to play with him, but I don't think he's going to want to do it. But he wanted to play with me.
And here's me thinking, gosh, I'd love to get back friends with Brian, who's has so many amazing musical connections, and
so we were both kind of coming at it sheepishly.
Okay.
So then when we started playing together, we really got into it. And next thing, we played with the Pogues in the 3 Arena just before Christmas. There we got up with Victoria and sang Streams of Whiskey at the end with them. That was our first gig. And then the second gig, Glenn Hansard asked us to play the Christmas Busk.
Yeah.
And we played one of Seamus' tunes he wrote about Johnny McDonald's jig, which was the Dublin goalkeeper.
Okay, so we'll have to hear that.
Yeah, it's a very good tune. So the Dublin goalkeeper was part of the struggle for Irish freedom.
I know a little bit.
I didn't know that until I met this fella, But he was an Uillean piper as well. He played the Uillean pipe. That's why he got inspired and wrote that tune.
Isn't that lovely?
So we got to play that tune. We got to play 2 more tunes as well.
Yeah.
But since then as well, we started another St. Anthony's Trezana.
Okay.
And this is kind of the more mad place to take us up to this point here now, because the Trezana says this prayer is so powerful. On the 5th week, you'll have your answer. And then I'll put it over to you now. Tell the lads what happened on the 5th week.
Okay, so I suppose, as I said, around November just gone, I met Brian, and it was you've been telling me from the start about your spiritual encounters, particularly with this prayer, the St. Anthony's Trezana, that you were saying for Shane, in his last year that he was living. And Brian, you kept saying you have to get on it. You don't. God knows where you'd be if we went down, if you said this prayer, And I said, okay, right. A good lot of things have happened, We played with the Pogues, Shane McGowan's funeral, and all the various bits and pieces. Said, you know what? what have I got to lose? Let's give it a go. So it was we got the prayer anyway. So the prayer is basically, you say it every Tuesday, and you say it for 13 weeks, but it does say that the prayer is so powerful that on the 5th week, the prayer would get answered. Now, just shortly, I was kind of thinking, well, what's the next step I could go for the music? I've done a couple of, like, spontaneous gigs, like, with Shane's funeral, and also, like, just hopping up on the stage with the Pogues. I said, it would be lovely to maybe see if I could get something, with, I'd like do a proper project maybe with one of the artists that I've been working with, and Glenn contacted me about doing a recording, and I didn't. Glenn, he didn't give me much details about the recording, but he just said, look, I have a project for you, and he mentioned my sister as well, Mary, if the two of you would record on this. So I said, okay, maybe this is the sign for me, but I said, look, we'll see what happens anyway. Mightn't happen or might not happen, but it was interesting enough because he changed the date of the recording, and actually it ended up being on the 5th week. So I was thinking, maybe there's something there, I don't know, but if I was thinking maybe there's something, what ended up happening in the end, I think was more a definite something in it, because 2 days before the recording, and I think I was on to Brian, we're all excited. It was like, I think it's happening. All systems seem go. And Glenn said, look, I'm going to send you on a recording of the song that we're going to do for the recording. Just to have a little listen, maybe come up with a little melody line. And what we ended up, he sent on the song, and I put the headphones on, I was listening, and then I heard these 3 words coming in the middle of the chorus, and I thought I was losing the head, because it was going, Anthony, Anthony, I'll be there for you, Anthony, wherever you may be. I said, oh my gosh, am I going mad here, so the song was all about Anthony, and so I said, look, I have to tell Glenn this, so we went into the studio, and he couldn't believe it. And so part of the prayer is you give out 3 copies of the prayer each week. So I said, there's a little souvenir for you, Glenn. But and I gave it to everyone in the studio, and I think they were blown over by it. But I was blown over as well. I said it was a real mad situation. But I think it kind of does show you that. There has been something going on, all these little coincidences. It is mad,
And just to put into context, well, I started the Trézan at the same time with them, just to be part of the experience, because his whole family's doing it. All 4 of them are doing this. And the day after that was the day we did the interview in the Lizzie room. So the 5th week for me was quite important as well in our own way, But then to take us up to scratch now and where we are now, Seamus then went on, God bless him, at 22 years of age, took a pilgrimage of people over to Assisi just about last week, 2 weeks ago. Took about 12 people over. So you can explain that. That's kind of impressive.
So I suppose the other thing that's kind of happened as well, like after as I said, kind of it's the 2 things are really lining up, the music, but also maybe the spirituality side of things. And basically, as I said, in 2023, I went to Assisi just on a holiday with my family and that, but we got to know this through going over there, this young saint that's going to be canonized next month, called Carlo Acutis, and young boy who died at the age of 15 from leukemia, but he was always just great at helping, let's say, the homeless people and just the outcasts in society. He was just an amazing young lad at 15, but we were really taken by him, saying, gosh, you're so young, and what an impact he gave, to all his friends, and when we came back to Ireland, we heard that there was an event happening and in Dublin for him, and we went to that event, and we ended up getting involved with a bit of a group to try and promote this young lad anyway. So we've been doing various different things. Myself and my sister, when I mentioned and obviously Mum and Dad are kind of involved as well, But what ended up happening was we've been getting our own kind of group together for this young lad called Carlo Acutis Ireland, promoting him in Ireland, and we've been having different events on about him, and we finally said, you know what, we want to get other people as well to have the same experience we've had, and one of the things we decided to do was to bring a pilgrimage of people, 10 people, kept it small, over to Assisi, show them St. Francis, St. Clair, all the different bits and pieces there, and of course introduce them to the young lad Carlo Acutis anyway, who's absolutely brilliant. But so we had a great trip last week. I think everyone really enjoyed themselves, you know, and you know, plenty of good crack. We played plenty of music over there, you know, and I was teaching one of the Franciscans, Brother Matteo, the tin whistle, you know, so he's learning a bit of trad, so we had a bit of a Cayley and a Uillean, and it was great crack anyway.
Oh, lovely.
So we might go on the next pilgrimage, Brush, is what we're trying to say, you know?
Oh,
We'll get our team, bring us over.
I'm always interested in whatever, you know, I'm always interested in that, but I tend to intellectualise it more.
right.
You know, this is the problem.
Yeah.
When you're kind of a Christian mystic, there's only two people interested, and one of them is yourself, you know, and the other person is wondering what you're talking about, but he's interested.
You got one more now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got three now.
But the whole thing is, he's going in the right direction, James.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, he's full of the old goodwill. That's all you need to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's what they say. Spirituality manifests itself in the messages of goodwill.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's what it's about. And then a little bit of compassion, and you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that you can play a bit of music, you know, or play it well, all of that, it all brings itself together. But ultimately, you know, you see where it takes you.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
We just figured this out on the way here in the car, that our Trezana is finishing on the 25th and your son is playing a gig on the 25th. So it's kind of a mad one on the way out here. We said, holy mother of God, you know.
Well, again, like, there's coincidences all the time in everybody's life.
Sure.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not that good. But if you're doing your best, no matter what happens, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
That's right.
It doesn't always work the way you want it to.
Yeah.
But if you go into it with the right frame of mind and the old good intentions and the kind thoughts, it doesn't matter what happens, you went into it.
You can
the
make,
right
it,
way.
make it work.
Yeah, and ultimately, if you can stay like that for the rest of your life and stay very fit, you know what I mean? And don't have an ego problem because you know you're great. You know what I mean? That all helps. That brings you closer to humility. Just when you're wondering whether you're great or not, that it can cause problems. You know. So get that out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't have an ego problem. I know I'm great. Now let's get back to humility here for a while. You know. So again, the only two things I envy. There's only two things I envy. One is simple faith, and the other is humility. I don't have either of those two.
But I envy you.
And Seamus has both of them, which is fair enough. So I can honestly say that I envy simple faith and humility.
Yeah,
I haven't got either of them.
You can learn. So Seamus, you want to tie us out? We'll do with Johnny McDonald's jig there.
That's good.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Now the only thing we're lacking here is a piper who's a goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
He plays the guy. He's a referee for the guy as well. You know?
No, really, he has to go in goal. Like
Yeah.
that.
Well,
There's no point.
I was never a GAA goalkeeper, but I played GAA for a bit, and my friend of mine down the road, Sean Evers, knocked up once and said, we don't have a goalkeeper on our soccer team, so for a year I played a little bit of soccer and goals, but
There you go.
Well, we're only
so we're
looking,
getting there.
we're only looking for one game in Crow Park. We can only do that.
I know, yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, we get to it.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
maybe the GAA could sort me a gig in there, you
No,
know.
we saw something out of you.
Right.
Grace, more on
Seamus
fire.
song, everybody.
More on fire. Couldn't be better. So you'll be seeing Seamus again in Croke Park playing in gold and playing the pipes at the same time. He's on his way. There's big gigs around, 82,000 people, can't be wrong. So we see you all again next week when our quest for knowledge, spiritual enlightenment and musical ability is never ending. Because as long as the crack is good, the boys be good at it. Hey,
There we go.
give it a bit of that.